life in lockstep, cut off from the outside world from morning to night.
This is a school for boys.
Bad boys. They live here in the village of Serafimovka, 1,200 kilometers away from Moscow. 17-year-old Vadim is hoping for a second chance. The chance of a better life.
It's 7 o'clock in the morning. The correctional facility is waking up. The day starts with the same ritual every morning on the 3rd floor. 70 boys between 11 and 17 years of age are here to be re-educated. Morning exercise, the first step towards improvement. The next ritual, making the beds, tidily. A skill that some lads still struggle to master.
We have the same standards for everyone. We call that zapravka. It's a folding method. The bed is meant to look tip-top, just as I am showing you, with 5 and 15 centimeters folded under. And what's really important is that everything's really taut. And in their bedside cabinets, the toothpaste and hairbrush should be on the right and the soap on the left.
Good morning, sit down, please. Who is on duty today?
The rest of the morning is spent in the classroom. Vadim Seleznov came here 2 years ago. He could barely read and write Russian back then. Now the 17-year-old is learning English and abstract thinking skills.
In the picture, it's winter.
Isn't it spring?
Yes, it's spring. Everything is melting, and the grass is growing.
Like the other boys, Vadim dresses up smartly for school. A shirt and jacket are compulsory here. And there's a reason for that.
In the outside world, our boys pose a potential threat to others, a danger to children from normal families. The teachers there don't know how they're to handle these boys. The others are well-dressed, well-nourished. They know their parents are waiting for them back home. Ours, on the other hand, don't even know what they should wear to school in the outside world. They don't have such nice things as the others. That makes them aggressive. Here, everyone looks the same.
Vadim wants to look good for his new start in life. And he's putting his back into it, working out several times a day. Weight training is a means of putting the past behind him. For good.
When I came here, I was really thin and pretty rough and ready. I didn't like sports. It was hard to exercise every morning, to go jogging. In the gym, I couldn't even lift a dumbbell.
It's lunchtime, and Vadim has kitchen duty today. There seems to be plenty of food here. Soup, a meat dish, dessert. The kitchen team on duty sets the tables, led by Vadim. Then it's time for the others to file into the canteen. The midday meal divides the boys' day in two, school before, free time afterwards.
I wasn't allowed to leave the grounds for the first 3 months. After the settling in period, I was allowed to go for a walk outside. I've never dreamt of breaking out, though. They treat us well here.
It doesn't exactly look like a holiday camp here. And nor is it meant to. None of the students came here voluntarily. All the boys have criminal backgrounds, from pickpocketing and assault to drug dealing and even murder.
I stole a car and caused an accident. And of course, I ran away. But after 2 days, the police caught me.
On average, the boys spend about 2 years in Serafimovka, 2 years of re-education. That means order and discipline on one hand, and care and kindness on the other. The staff are like new parents to the boys. Teachers like Farida Sagdeva.
These children exude warmth, and we can feel that, but they need people to return this warmth. Some just want you to stroke their head, even though some are pretty big lads like Vadim. Some of them tell us their secrets. That shows they trust us. And trust is something very valuable, coming from tough kids like ours.
In the afternoon, it's time to get some fresh air. The school grounds in Serafimovka are walled off, and there's a high fence intended to stop the boys from escaping. But very few try to get out. Most who come here quickly realize the conditions in the correctional facility are better than they are at home. Several thousand boys have passed through the school since it was set up in the 1970s. Each one has a story to tell, but they all seem to have one thing in common. They weren't given enough love in the outside world. Vadim's parents had custody over him withdrawn for a while. Some boys here are orphans. Some have parents who are alcoholics, drug addicts, or behind bars. Now these children are meant to improve one day at a time. Improvement in the same sense the school authorities understand it. Their ideal, the Russian soldier. The aim here is to give them a feeling of having achieved something worthwhile. Many of them will go on to join the military. They're not being educated to be independent, critical citizens, but rather to be patriotic servants of the state who don't question the authority of the government. Because the children are also made to feel grateful for getting a second chance, and because they do indeed experience love and attention. Sometimes unconventional methods are used, unconventional methods for boys at least.
I need to be careful here.
Our boys are hyperactive, but if they sit down and knit, they learn to be quiet and to focus. Of course, it doesn't work straight off. They're nervous at first and are eager to give up. But at some point, they come to like it.
Woodwork is more what you might expect for these young, tough lads. Vadim doesn't really know what he wants to do when he leaves the facility for young offenders. One goal he does already have in mind is to find a pretty wife and have a family of his own. In the evening, there are dancing lessons.
One, 2, 3, 4. Keep in time.
The facility has a reputation for producing talented kids. The facility's credo, every child is gifted, But this gift has to be discovered early. For these boys, a life of crime was normal just a few months ago, but now that's over. That's the hope, at least. At 8 in the evening, a long day packed with organized activities is slowly coming to an end. It's time to march back to the 3rd floor, back to where the day started, in the dormitories. The state begins to look away a bit now as things get more private here in Serafimovka. The boys are allowed to watch TV. It's almost like being home. But just as in every family, there's also conflict here in the school, especially when the boys first arrive here straight from the streets, says Vadim.
I was a bad boy. Outside, I was always getting into fights with other boys. I've totally changed since being here.
And being here will come to an end at some point when the boys are released. A matter of concern for their teacher, Farida Zagdeva.
It would be great if the children could just stay here, but unfortunately, they have to leave the facility one day. And they often return to where they came from, back to their old surroundings. And only the ones who have learned to stand their ground will be able to stop falling back into the old ways.
It's goodbye to us and good night for the young offenders. Tomorrow, the facility will continue its efforts to improve the boys in Serafimovka. For the world outside.